Hey everyone, welcome to Steph and Key TV. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps our channel. And let me know what you thought of today's video. Alright, Beverly Hills, let's get into it. Alright, so we pick up where we left off because that's stupid to be continued. Erika walks into the house, makes a grand entrance. Everybody's like, oh hey Erika, we're so glad you're here. They like hug her, get some drinks, toast, sit down. And she's like, okay ladies, what's going on? And I'm with Garcelle, like, you the one who just announced your divorce, you tell us what's going on. So the ladies sit down to eat and they're just talking, like, I feel like they're overcompensating for the fact that Erika's not speaking about her situation. They're like, oh, I'm feeling so light and free and blah, blah, blah. And then Kyle just jumps over and she's, well, because, like, Kyle's on one end of the table and Dorit's at the other end. They're on the same side, but at the other ends of the table. And Kyle's like, but I feel like we're in Mercury retrograde, and I feel like that's why me and Dorit had our little thing. And I'm just like, why are you bringing it up? Like, in front of everybody at the table, like... So then, like, Dorit agrees, and she feels like, and Kyle feels like that it's a sisterly thing, like they can bite each other's heads off and then come together again. And Dorit agrees again, and she's like, I do want to have a conversation with you at some point. But then Kyle says, like, you know, it's the same thing with me and Kathy. And Kathy's like, do I bite your head off? And she's like, well, not now, but you have, like, in the past. Like, you can't say that you've never bitten my head off. Like, we're sisters. Sisters fight. Not all the time, but they do fight. And Kathy just seems confused by this. And so then Kyle does what she does and starts impersonating Kathy, because Garcelle does admit that Dorit's a little long-winded, and Kathy is like, what? And then Kyle's like, well, yeah, she's long-winded, but, like, Kathy, you don't understand because you talk in shorthand. And she starts impersonating her, and they are all cracking up. Kathy does not seem amused, like, at all. She's just like, oh, y'all think this is funny? And she does not seem amused, but they were cracking up, having a good old time. Sutton, I feel like Sutton is such a kiss ass to Kathy, and she's like, made sure that, like, Kathy had the caviar that she liked, and she's like, whatever Kathy wants goes. And I feel like that is another reason why she didn't get mad at Kathy at the little at Lake Tahoe about the prank, because it was Kathy who did the prank, who started the prank, who left, like, didn't try to leave, who, like, Sutton felt like she was left out of the prank. But then I just find it odd that, like, Sutton blamed Crystal for everything that involved that prank, even though Kathy was the ringleader, and she never said anything to Kathy about it. And I feel like Sutton's a kiss ass because Kathy's extremely wealthy and she wants to be on her good side. And I'm just like, I see you, Sutton. I see you. So I have some notes because I just watched Erika finally open up. She talks about how Tom, the reason why she had to file for divorce, Tom just kept pushing her away. Their conversations were reduced to sentences, and she had to be super secretive and not tell the ladies until the last minute because Tom's a lawyer and he's very good at his job. If it were not for all the horrible mess that we know about this, you know, the situation with Tom scamming people, I would believe this, because I would feel like, you know, if you're gonna divorce a lawyer, you need to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because they know the law inside and out and can destroy your life. So if this was just like a regular divorce, I would believe that she would have to be super secretive and just, like, flee in the middle of the night to make sure that she could get everything she needed out of that divorce. She does say that she, like, in her confessional, she's talking about, like, how hard it was for her and she feels like she's stepping into a void, which I do agree, because I feel like she knows that what Tom did and what allegedly she did as well, or might have known about, and that this is going to be a battle for her because she's gonna probably lose everything. And to go from super wealthy and rich and having this lavish lifestyle to being broke and destitute, nobody wants that. So I do feel like she really meant that she feels like she's stepping into a void. She said she's really good at keeping secrets. which I don't know if I would be saying if I was on camera knowing what's about to come out. And she said what's coming, like she has to wait to really talk more about it till she finds out what's coming for her. And what's coming for her, well, what she's alluding to is like money is coming for her, but what we know is that the feds are coming for her. So she invites the ladies to her new little house. Kathy's making, you know, just trying to talk to her and just saying like how hard it is to be in the news and be on the front page and have everybody know your business. And she keeps, you know, throwing little quips out there, and then she kind of stops. And then Rinna jokes about like, this is the shorthand we're talking about as far as Kathy's conversation. And she's like, God forbid I be long-winded. And they all start laughing. Dorit laughs, and now they're ready for dessert. This is like, it's so cryptic, creepy, but I hope we get more. I mean, I know we are, but I hope they really dive into it because I want to know all of it. So Kyle and Dorit say they need to go off and talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, again with this. So they go, they talk, they apologize. Kyle is not going to cut Dorit off anymore, and Dorit's going to not try to dominate the conversation. She admits in her confessional that with Erika's situation, her and Kyle's thing is not that big of a deal. I agree. Move on. The other ladies are talking. Kathy just kind of alludes to the fact, like, Erika, like, you just don't seem like you're that attached to the house. You're just ready to move on. And Erika just says, like, it was never my house. It was Tom's house. I'm the third wife that lived in there. So, you know, it is what it is. Like, I love that home, but it wasn't really ever completely my home. So then we get back to Kyle and Dorit, and Kyle's like, oh, like, what's going on with Crystal and Sutton? And Dorit's like, well, she told me that, you know, she told me about the situation with Sutton walking into her room while she was naked and making the comment, well, I don't know what you're doing in here, and then leaving. And then Kyle was like, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, she knocked. And I'm like, can you guys just, like, please stop saying that? Just because someone knocks doesn't give them the right to walk in. It doesn't. You wait until I say come in. Then you come in. Then you can walk into my room. Otherwise, no. Don't just walk into my room. Who are you? This is crazy. This situation is crazy to me. But they show like a flashback of Crystal and Dorit talking. And like she just, you know, she retells the story and just saying how creepy it was for her. It was creepy for her, okay? Like, she's allowed to feel creeped out about someone walking into her room while she's butt-ass naked without Crystal saying, come in. You just walked right into my room. I'm naked. I'm crouching, covering my body. And you're like, well, I don't know what you're doing in here, and putting the coat in and then walking out. And I don't know if you could be bringing cameras with you because we're on a reality show. That's creepy. It's creepy to her. It may not be creepy for everybody else, but it was creepy to her. She's allowed to feel how she feels. Lord. And then Dorit says, well, you know, Crystal felt violated. And Kyle's like, well, come on. Let's not. I feel like that's such a strong word, and I don't want to make a bigger deal of it than it was. It was not a big deal for you, Kyle, because it didn't happen to you. And not everything's about you and how you feel the situation should be. She felt violated. It doesn't mean that she was, like, assaulted. It means she felt violated. Even there's been situations where people have had their houses robbed, burglarized, like your car's been burglarized or your house has been burglarized. Even though you weren't there, people have said, like, coming back to that house, they just felt violated. Like somebody was in their place, in their space, doing things they didn't know, and you just feel violated. You feel like somebody invaded your space, and that's what Sutton did. Whether she's sorry or not, she still did it. Learn how to, like, knock and wait for someone to say enter. My God. Like, I feel like if Sutton's Miss Manners, shouldn't she know that? Isn't that common sense? You don't just knock on someone's door and then just walk right in. Because then what's the point of knocking? Like, how many times do I have to say this? I don't understand this. So Garcelle meets with the dating coach at her house. Those fish... I thought she was joking when she said she named the fish Kyle and Dorit, but she was serious. She just named her fish after these women. Hilarious. But she's trying to find a mate, and they're making jokes and stuff. First she tells, her what she wants, and then she also says she doesn't want him to be too big. Throws the coach off. She's like, wait a minute, you threw me off for a second. And then she gets down to, like, what's really going on with her. Like, she's had to take care of herself since she was 17. Her mother is an immigrant, so, like, her moving to this country, she just wanted her to be successful and to do well. So Garcelle's been taking care of herself, acting and modeling for such a very long time, and she doesn't know how to let a man really take care of her because she doesn't feel like they're going to be able to do as well of a job as she has been taking care of herself. And I don't blame her, especially with her ex-husband cheating for years. It's really hard to trust people, especially if you put trust and love into someone and you finally break down those walls and he hurt you tremendously. So hopefully she does. I feel like therapy is important, so hopefully she does go to therapy and, unravel some more of these layers and really, like, help her to be more open. And I really hope she finds someone. She's stunning and she just seems like a lot of fun, and everybody deserves love, don't they? I really hope she finds someone. So we are in Erika's new house. It's cute. I think it's cute. They are so shady. They show from, like, her old house, which was 16,000 square feet, to her new house, which is 2,000 square feet. Her assistants come over. What is his name? Mikey? And then the other assistant, and they're just going through all of her clothes and stuff and figuring out how to set up her use the extra bedrooms as closet space, which I think is interesting. How she's like, I find it interesting how you think you're gonna fit everything in here, and I find it interesting how she thinks she's gonna be able to keep all that stuff, knowing what we know. But she does dive into, like, the divorce. She said, like, when it just reached a point, she dropped Tom off at work and then moved out that same day. I can't imagine her dropping Tom off anywhere. I'm pretty sure he has a driver. But she says she moved out that same day. And then she dives more into, like, Tom's, like, nasty behavior and stuff, which I do think I believe. I know she's using this to garner sympathy as to reasons as to why she divorced him, even though I feel like if the truth hadn't come out about him allegedly ripping off his clients, I feel like she probably would have stayed until the end of time. But I do feel like he probably was pretty nasty. I mean, we saw him her first season and the kind of the banter he had with Lisa Vanderpump, and it was really weird. And she did talk about how she's not allowed to talk a certain way around him and she has to be very quiet. And I feel like he probably, like, was that way with her, just making nasty comments. And I guess they were at dinner with a group of his friends, his male friends, and she came late and said, sorry, I was in traffic. And then one of his friends said, well, if you were married to a better man, traffic wouldn't be a problem. And Tom had snapped back and said, well, if you think you can afford her, you can have her. So she said this was, like, a reoccurring thing, but she felt like she could never say anything because she was grateful for the fact that he had been taking care of her and gave her this life, her and her son, this lavish life to live. So she always felt like she really couldn't speak up for herself to him, which I agree. I feel like I believe that to a certain degree, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, she could hold her own with some of the ladies, and I feel like she got a lot. But I do believe her that he probably was that way. Just from what I've heard in the documentaries that I've watched about him, he seems like he probably was that way with her. So I don't know. It's just it's quite interesting to see this unraveling and to see how this is going to unfold. Sutton is getting a mammogram for her very first one. I guess she told Kyle 3 weeks earlier that she had never had one. Kyle was like, you're crazy. She didn't say you're crazy, but she was like, you need to do it. But isn't it odd? I found it odd that they showed Kyle 3 weeks earlier wearing the same outfit as she is today. That didn't make any sense. But she takes Sutton to get her mammogram, and then she decides to everything looks good. Everything's good. Good bill health. But then she decides to tell Sutton, like, I know you just freaked out about getting your mammogram, but let me tell you about what Crystal's been saying. I was like, really, Kyle? Of all times? So she tells her that Crystal told Dorit about the situation, even though Crystal had told Sutton that she wasn't going to tell anybody else. But she told Dorit about the situation and told her that she felt violated. And Sutton says, well, I'm sorry she felt violated that I knocked on her door and brought her coat. But you left out the part, Sutton, that you knocked on her door, barged in without her saying come in, saw her butt ass naked, made a rude comment, and then left. That you didn't just knock on her door and bring her coat. That's not why she felt violated, Sutton. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. So Sutton's pissed, of course, because she's like, this is making a big deal out of nothing, even though, like, okay, Crystal agreed not to tell anybody else, but I mean, if she felt like how she feels, she can tell whoever she wants. She can tell whoever she wants. She said she wasn't going to, but she did. So you can be mad at her about that, but she can tell whoever she wants. And she felt violated, and I feel like it's perfectly fine to say you feel violated about someone barging into your room while you're butt ass naked. And you could have possibly brought in cameras with you. Like, they didn't know Crystal's naked? My God. Ugh. So Erika and Rinna meet up for dinner, and Erika asks Rinna about her beauty line. It's almost ready to launch. And then we get into Erika and her leaving Tom. She tells Rinna the same thing that she told us, that she dropped him off at work. And he was kind of like, well, she said, I love you. And he was like, thanks, hon. Like, she was an employee. Just like no love there that she felt, and that she moved into her new place and then served him the next day. It's so cryptic. She's like crying in her confessional, just saying like how, you know, dark he had become, and I feel like he probably always was. And Rinna gives us like a flashback of how Tom was. Like I said, I mean, he was just very like, it's my way or the highway, and I'm talking and you listen, and kind of remind me of Kyle and Dorit. But yeah, I don't know. She says like he's got some dark days ahead of him, and I'm like, girl, what are you alluding to? I think we know, but it's just, I feel like you got some dark days too, girl, because I don't know. It's just so weird. It'd be different if this was just a divorce, but it's like a divorce with all of this baggage attached to it, and you just don't know what to make of what she's telling us. And it's just, I mean, I do believe her about Tom, but I don't feel like she was going to leave if it was not for this situation with his clients. So, I don't know. So, Crystal has invited all the ladies to her house to make dumplings. I want to go. I love dumplings. Her and her cousins are prepping all the food. And then the ladies are going to come over and make the dumplings, I believe. And Kyle and Sutton are chatting on the phone, and Kyle asks if she should bring a coat, and then Sutton's like, should I bring you one? And they're joking about like the whole coat situation. I'm like, Kyle's so annoying. They get there, and everyone looks great, and Garcelle says she looks like sex on heels. And she's like, when my life was falling apart, I did not look that good, but I mean, Erika looks amazing. And I'm really ready for them to make the dumplings. I don't want to hear any of the drama. I just want to see the food. So apparently, Kyle gave Erika some oil, some tea, like not CBD, but THC. Is that what it is? It's not CBD oil, but you know, the other oil. And because like she's been using it, we know Mauricio's been using it because he's like almost, allegedly, it seems like he's high every episode. And she said she rubbed it all over her goods. and Garcelle in her confessional was like, well, I want to get me some too. I'm like, did she have to tell us that? Go ahead, girl. Hopefully this is the last time we talk about it, but I don't feel like we will. I feel like it's going to drag on all season like Puppygate. But Crystal and Sutton sit down and they talk about the situation. Sutton's like, well, if you want people to stop talking about it, you have to stop talking about it. And she's like, people kept asking me about it and I responded. So, I mean, they show the flashbacks. People kept asking her what happened. She talked about it. Granted, she probably didn't have to talk about it, but she talked about it. So it is what it is. They go to the group to tell everybody else to stop talking about it. Dorit is like, well, I only heard Crystal's point of view and I was relating to her, trying to understand if somebody walked into me and I'm crouched down naked. And Sutton was like, well, you talked about how you've been violated and I didn't violate you. And I feel like that's not fair for you to say that you didn't violate her. If she felt violated, she felt violated. Crystal's like, okay, we're done with it. I want to move forward. I've only talked about it to people who've asked me about it. We're done. And Sutton's like, okay, fine. She's like, but since we're talking about this, I want to bring up the fact that you call me manic and crazy, and I don't think that's fair. And you know that my father committed suicide, so to call me manic was not very nice. And I agree. I don't think it was very nice, especially going along with Sutton's situation. The fact that her father committed suicide to then be called crazy and manic, that's it. I'm sure that didn't feel good. And it was not nice to call her crazy and manic, but I'm sorry, but something's off. And Crystal's like, I believe you when you say that. And then Sutton, that's not enough for Sutton, because in her confessional, she's like, oh, you believe me? Or I'm going to believe you. And she's pissed about it, and she's calling Crystal a mean girl. I feel like it's very easy to call her a mean girl, and I feel like it's very easy for her to call you crazy. You know what I mean? You don't want labels thrown on you, but you're very free and easy to label other people, Sutton. And I feel like last season you were so nasty to people. You talked about people behind their backs, and you talked about them to their faces. Like, and to now, like, all of a sudden you're the victim. It's just, it blows my mind. I don't like Sutton. I don't like her. I hope they do move on. It doesn't seem like it, because we saw in the preview she's going to make fun of Crystal's ugly leather pants. I'm really ready for that episode. But I don't like Sutton, and I don't like Kyle, because when Sutton brought up the fact that you being violated, you could see a smirk on Kyle's face. I watched it back and I saw a smirk on her face. I don't like Kyle. I feel like she's very much like Sutton. I feel like Kyle's worse. Ugh. I don't like these women, but they're ready to move on and make some dumplings, which is what I wanted to see anyway. So let's get to the food, please, because I am tired of this conversation between Sutton and Crystal. I am. So they make the dumplings, and Garcelle and Kyle, or me, scarfing their faces. They are tearing those dumplings up. That would so be me. And Kyle says that these dumplings look like Lisa Rinna's lips. I was crying. Like, who says dumplings look like your lips? But they are like pretty much done, and then Crystal invites them to pick out some desserts. One of them looked like mochi balls. They all looked really good. I love dessert, but I would have been happy to take like a plate full of dumplings because I love dumplings, and those dumplings look good. Garcelle's the only one because the rest of the ladies are talking, but Garcelle gets some of the dessert. And then the ladies are just saying that this is like a lighter Erika, but in her confessional, she's just saying like these ladies just don't know there's more to come, and we're gonna get it. So that wraps it up for this episode. Please let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. I would love your feedback. Let's have a dialogue, but let's be respectful. And hit that notification bell so you're in the know when I release a new video. And subscribe. I would love to have you a part of Steph and Key TV. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.